We all wore the same costume as Maurice Richard did, the red, white, and blue costume of the Montreal Canadiens, the best hockey team in the world.
Maurice Richard was born on August 4, 1921 in Montreal. He grew up in the Bordeaux district near Ville-Saint-Laurent with his 7 other siblings. He first began playing hockey on his school teams and the local teams in his neighborhood. When he was 18, he decided to go to the Montreal Technical School to become a machinist. During his studies, he was scouted and asked by numerous coaches to play on their teams. He was asked to play on so many of them that in order to do so, he had to go by different names. By 1937, he was discovered by junior hockey coaches. In the 1940-41 season, he signed a contract with the Montreal Senior Canadiens. Unfortunately, he did not get much playing time because he suffered from a broken wrist and ankle. In 1942, during the off-season, Maurice started to work with his father at the Angus shop. He also married his childhood sweetheart, Lucille Norchette. Towards the end of 1942, he signed his professional contract with Montreal Canadiens. This started the beginning of his long profession of a hockey legend.
We all combed our hair like Maurice Richard, and we used a kind of hair glue to keep it in place. We laced our skates like Maurice Richard. We taped our sticks like Maurice Richard. We cut his picture out of all the newspaper, and we knew everything there was to know about Maurice Richard.
Marriage, he signed his first contract with the Montreal Canadiens. The 1942-1943 season ended early for Richard when he broke his ankle on December 27th. In the next season, Maurice came back stronger than ever with much speed and astonished teammates as he outplayed them. He scored 32 goals in 46 games. In the playoffs, he helped his team win the Stanley Cup against the Chicago Blackhawks, making 12 goals in 9 games, in which he then earned the nickname The Rocket. Him and his line mates came up with the punchline, which consisted of Richard, Hector Blake, and Elmer Locke. The punchline set other records in the 1944-1945 season. The punchline had accumulated 220 points that season. The Rocket registered 50 goals in 50 games, which had surpassed the 44 goals in 20 games scored by Maurice Joseph Malone in 1917 and 1918.
The world's finest athlete scores his 500th goal. The Rocket is undoubtedly a superstar.
In his 18-year career, Richard won 8 Stanley Cups. He also broke most standing goal and point records. Richard also broke the record for points in a single game with 8, scoring 5 goals and 3 assists. This record would stand for more than 30 years. Some of his records still stand today, such as 5 goals in 1 playoff game. Richard retired as the first player to record 500 career goals and as the greatest goal scorer the game had ever seen. Today, the Maurice Richard Trophy is awarded annually to the NHL's leading goal scorer.
On March 1995 at the Montreal Forum, Maurice Richard fought a Boston Bruins player, and the fight ended with Richard hitting a linesman with a stick by accident. The NHL president, Clarence Campbell, suspended Richard for the rest of the season when Richard was about to win his first points-scored title. The riot began when the crowd noticed Campbell watching the game. The riot caused damage in the millions, and in the end, Montreal was eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs by the Detroit Red Wings. Maurice Richard died on May 27, 2000 at the age of 78 in Montreal, Quebec from abdominal cancer. Richard was awarded a state funeral. His funeral was held at the Notre Dame Basilica in Montreal and included 2,700 people inside and 1,500 people outside who watched on a giant screen. A tribute was held for Richard in which an estimated 115,000 people filed past his open coffin at the Molson Centre.
Maurice